Hey there, everybody. This is skill set training number 4. Today it's just me and Zadi on the training call, and we were just having a conversation that we thought we should bring to the recording. So Zadi, you were telling me about your new team member who's a hairdresser.
Mm-hmm.
What's her name?
Lucero.
Say it again.
Lucero.
Lucero. So I'll be able to repeat that, but I might not be able to say it without you saying it first. Okay. So, and she's a hairdresser, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you were telling me she has an opportunity to ask a lot of great questions as a hairdresser, right? So these trainings become really important while you're learning how to have great conversations, ask a lot of questions. And I warned of the fact, and this really goes for everybody, but especially when you're in a position where you're talking to somebody for a long time, remember, we're doing a conversation that leads to an invitation to a presentation. And a lot of times what we make the mistake of is, especially when we have somebody's attention for that whole time, is making that the presentation. And then people walk away thinking they know everything they need to know, and they don't. That's why we have the flip books to go through so we don't miss anything, right? Because there's important pieces that people don't necessarily get, even in a fantastic, lengthy conversation. But so what we want to do, even when somebody's in our chair, is extend that invitation to the presentation. And the presentation can be to the juicy happy hour, it can be to the one-on-ones, or two-on-ones, which are even more effective in my opinion. Whatever somebody's confident level is, if somebody's meeting with somebody one-on-one, some of the downfalls are that they don't know how to ask for the sale, or they don't know how to do the follow-up. So when you ask for the sale, what you've got to be able to do is say, hey, so, do you want to get started? It's really as simple as that. Are you ready to get started? And a lot of times we miss that step and we just kind of throw Juice Plus out there, and we might even do a presentation, and then we're waiting for the other person to say, okay, yeah, sign me up. And it doesn't always happen that way. It's rare. Even if it sounds like somebody's super interested, if you don't extend the invitation to go ahead and get started, a lot of times they won't. So we've got to make sure we extend that invitation. And then if they're not ready to get started, if you're checking with them and you say, well, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you in the decision-making process right now? And they say, I really think I want to do it. I just need to go home and do a little bit more research. Then your job then is to find out what other information they need to get them that information and to schedule the follow-up. It's so much easier to follow up when you don't leave one presentation without the next presentation, the next follow-up, the next piece scheduled already. So in other words, so great, what kind of research do you need to do? What kind of information are you looking for? Well, and the person might say, you mentioned some studies, I'd really like to look at those. So then you give them exactly where to go get that information. You might even send them a link, right? And then you ask them, how much time will you need to look over this and consider your decision? Let them answer. Remember, always let them answer when you ask a question. Don't try to answer for them or make more conversation. And then schedule the follow-up. So, okay, so great. So you're going to look at it tonight. So if I touch base with you tomorrow afternoon, you'll have looked at it. Let them answer. Yes. Okay, great. So tomorrow afternoon at 4, I could call you and you'll have looked at it for sure. Yes. Okay, so does 4 o'clock work for you? Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, and then you pull out your calendar. You schedule it in your calendar so they can see that you're serious about that follow-up. And you check which number you're going to follow up with them at. And then you say, great, I'll call you then. Okay, and that's the GoPro steps. Remember to make sure you guys are listening to GoPro or reading GoPro, because there's great little pieces to the puzzle about how to schedule those follow-ups with people, because it's an important piece of what we do. Now, back to what I was saying, Zadi, that's that conversation to invitation to presentation. Even if somebody were to order right when they're right there in her chair, she'd still want to get them to a presentation, because that's going to create a lifelong customer, because it's going to create the big reason why somebody needs to take Juice Plus every day, and they're going to have that full understanding of what Juice Plus is and what it's going to do in their body. And then we can create that helps create that lifelong customer. Does that make sense, Zadi? Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I cover everything we talked about before?
Yeah.
I think so. Okay. Okay, so let's get on to what we were going to talk about today. Still staying in that element of the conversation to invitation to presentation. Last week we talked about creating a really good product story. Did you work on your product story, Zadi?
I didn't have a lot of time.
Okay. Well, this is an important part of these conversations. You're having a great conversation with somebody. You need to be ready to have a great story to tell them, an impactful, precise story. Then you're going to extend the invitation, right? Now, one thing you want to do when you're extending the invitation is detach from the outcome. You need to show up powerfully. You have an amazing product or business, whatever you're offering, and you have solutions for people. So many times we, especially as women, make the mistake of getting personally caught up in whether they're going to say yes or not. And that's never going to work, because that's not showing up powerfully. That's showing up from a position of being in fear and weak instead of showing up powerfully. So you've got to get in your mind the understanding and the belief that we have an amazing product and we have an amazing industry / business. Okay. Juice Plus company, our marketing plan, but even more importantly, when we're talking about business stories, which is where we're going more today, is the belief in the industry. We have to have these strong beliefs. So you need to check with yourself and ask yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do I feel about this industry? A lot of us come into this industry with a lot of garbage around it. I did. I'd had some experiences in my past that made me feel like, well, we've all seen it. This is not showing up powerfully. People who show up in these conversations about their product in desperation, or from the position of lack, not an abundance mentality, but a lack mentality, and in fear, and they're desperate to get this information to you. Well, we've all experienced that, and it comes across, it doesn't feel good. That's when people start being salesy, and we're uncomfortable with that, right? Because nobody wants to be sold. And nobody wants to be one of those people either. So I was afraid to show up like that kind of person, and I didn't know how to do this business any other way. And that's something I didn't want to do. You know, if you show up and you start throwing up all over somebody, and they start backing up from you, and they start, crossing their arms or averting their gaze, looking for the door, we're showing up in the wrong way. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I feel like this happened to me last night. I ended up in a conversation where I hadn't found the need. And I just jumped in and started telling this woman about the product, and it was going nowhere. And I could see it was going nowhere. I didn't have the relationship with her. I didn't have her need. I just jumped in with my product. So here I am 6 years in. I'm still doing it sometimes. It's not that we're going to be perfect all the time, but we need to be aware and try to be intentional with these conversations. So anyway, so a belief in our industry. Well, I was afraid to be one of those people that I still am sometimes. I didn't want people running out the door trying to avert their gaze when I walked in the room. I had been in some businesses before where I'd spent more money than I'd ever made. So I didn't have a powerful belief I knew that some people could make this money in this industry. I didn't have a powerful belief that I could make money in this industry. Okay. And there was a lot of kind of sticky feelings around it. You know what I mean? Like when I was growing up, there was a company that used to invite you over for dinner and then pull out the whiteboard and start offering their business to you, and you didn't even know why you were there. And that kind of sleazy feeling that went along with this industry for a long time, which so many professionals in this industry are trying to change. So I had to learn about this industry. I had to build my belief around this industry and about what an amazing industry it is. So here's some of the points that I think are extremely important. And this is how I talk to people when I'm talking to them about our business. I talk about residual income. I talk about how I was looking to create residual income. I talk about how smart it is to create multiple streams of income. And this is, as I'm having this conversation, I'm telling them that they're smart because they're going to understand creating multiple streams of income, right? So I'm coming up to them with the position that they're going to be smart about this already. Does that make sense? Rather than I'm kind of showing it, making the presumption that they're already there with me, right? And I'm telling them why it's smart, and I'm telling them about residual income. So they're already knowing before I go to the point where I'm offering the business. Does that make sense? And those are the things that we have to look at for us. Even if we only help people create $500 extra a month, that's all we did. Even if we only created $500 extra a month just for ourselves, what could we do with that $500 a month? You know, if we helped everybody create $500 a month and they took that $500 a month and invested it in something that created more income, do you see what I'm saying? The opportunity here for creating residual income that can create wealth on multiple levels is so amazing. That's where we have to get to with this business. We need to understand what we have in our hands. So you've got to do the research. You've got to study this industry. And I started by studying Robert Kiyosaki, who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He talks a lot about this industry and how smart it is. So does Donald Trump. There are many economic people who recommend businesses, and they all talk about how this is a way for the average person to create extraordinary income if they choose to, whatever they want from it. It would take the average person about $250,000 in the bank to create $500 a month in residual income. Most normal average people don't have $250,000 sitting around, nor do they have the opportunity to save that kind of money. Well, in this industry, we have the opportunity to use ourselves, our time, our talents as our commodity and create that residual income. So this is how I present to people, and this is how I built my belief. The other favorite thing that I've done over the last few months is Richard Bliss Brooke, his Hero Series podcasts. He has interviewed and continues to interview everybody who's done anything in this industry from all different companies. And you can see that the possibilities are there for everybody. And it's really grown my belief into what is possible for this kind of industry. So those kind of things that you can do to build your own belief in this industry, then you show up powerfully. You know, when you're talking to somebody about the business, then you show up powerfully. You show up with this, I know what I have my hands on here, and I'm offering you a solution, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you my old long version of my business story, and then we're going to talk about how to create a good business story, because this is part of our next steps. Okay, so this is my business. Can you see it, Zadi? Okay, so this is my original long kind of version of my business story. It's a good idea to write a long version, and it's a good idea to then condense it into bullet points. Now, my story might not relate to everybody, just like your product story might not relate to everybody. But if you've done a good job with a great conversation, asking great questions, you're going to know where to take your story, or if you need to borrow somebody else's story, right? So my story was, the long version is, when Juice Plus came into my life, I was praying for two things. One was a way to help people to be consistently successful in their nutrition in ways that I had been unable to help them to up to this point. And second was consistent income. As a wellness professional, my income was inconsistent. I either was making money or I wasn't. I loved helping people, but as a mom with inconsistent income, it was hard because I wasn't able to give my daughters the dance and gymnastics lessons they wanted. Sometimes I would have money, and then a few months later I wouldn't. I just needed some breathing room. And every time my girls would come to me and say, Mom, I need whatever it was, I know my eyes got huge and my stomach would drop. I remember that feeling, and I hated the way that felt, that panic in my stomach, and me trying to figure out how I was going to get them what they needed. I was so tired of always saying, just put it on the list. We'll figure it out. The idea of sharing Juice Plus was a no-brainer. It's fruits and vegetables, which everybody needs, which is the basis of all nutrition that I teach. Plus, we have the solid scientific research that shows Juice Plus really does what it says it does in the body. It's easy and affordable option that can really change people's health pictures. Juice Plus has changed my family's financial pictures in ways that I can't even begin to describe. I'm now able to pay for my youngest daughter's voice lessons, and because of this, she was in her high school musical this year. I no longer panic when they start saying I need something. And surprisingly, the most gratifying thing has been helping other people change their financial picture. I thought helping people with their health was gratifying, but it just doesn't compare to helping families get out of debt or buy their first home or pay for their Christmas with cash. Now, I'm stop sharing my screen. So that was the story that was relevant for me at that time. Obviously, where I am today has changed, but here's the basis for creating a business story that works. What was your background or your life like before? Very similar to your product story. What was your background? What did you not like about it? What's the solution you found? And how is your life different now, or what do you see for your life now? Okay, so a lot of my story is still the same. As a wellness professional, my income was inconsistent. I was so tired of that feeling that I would get. I really just wanted to know that I had created something that I could count on. And then, then I would probably today start talking about something like, in 2.5 years, I actually went from Juice Plus being a plan B where I just wanted to make $500 extra a month to a plan A where I created a full-time income on a part-time basis in 2.5 years. And now one of my favorite things to do is help people do whatever level of that is for them. If they just want to create $500 a month, fantastic. Or if they want to create a full-time income, I'm excited to do. That's the favorite thing that I get to do today. So, and then what I would see for my future is, I would probably say, what I see for my future is my husband and I are going to continue building this business, and we're going to create an income that allows us to travel several times a year. And we're really looking forward to, in the next couple of years, building our dream home. Okay. So you just want to get in mind what your life was like, what your background is, like you, Zadi, your background. What's your background?
Right now, I'm working as an administrative assistant.
Okay. And what do you like about it?
Well, this is not the job where I want to be. I'm actually trying to go to nursing school, and hopefully, I start in January.
Okay. So, does this job prevent you from being able to reach that, like go to nursing school? Or I know you're in the workplace, so it's okay.
No, it's probably, going to help me at least to pay for some of the tuition.
Okay. So, and you're choosing nursing school. Why?
Because I want to help people. And I actually think that, Juice Plus is going to be a good combination.
Okay. And how do you see Juice Plus helping you in your future? Like, what do you see for your life with Juice Plus?
Hold on, I think I'm having connection issues. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
So what do you see for your life with Juice Plus? What's your future? What's your dream?
Would I have that background? That background, I'll be able to have that medical background as a nurse, and will give me more credibility when I'm talking to others about Juice Plus, and to have that nutrition component. I really like what Dr. Phillips was saying in his what he was saying in the presentation 2 weeks ago or a week ago, how in medical school nutrition was just, it was a really small class, or it was an optional class.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's going to be great that I know about that now.
Mm-hmm.
How important nutrition is, and be able to share that with people who are really sick.
So if your story might go something like this, let me just give an example. So, currently I'm an administrative assistant, but I'm planning on going to nursing school in the spring, in the fall, in the winter, in January. And I'm really excited about the opportunity to help people. But what I've already learned through my experience with Juice Plus is that, even as a nurse, I'm so excited to help people, but there's a component missing. There's this whole piece of nutrition that's not really being taught, and people aren't getting that information. And here I am with the solution now. Here I have an opportunity to help people more, because I can help them in the way that I'm passionate about by being a nurse, but I could add that nutritional component. So what I see for my future is, and this is what we need to get to, the powerful punch. What I see for my future, I get that you see for your future that you're going to help people more, but what do you see for Zadi? How does this help Zadi? What does this do for you? You're having some connection difficulties. So let me just give you some ideas. Let me think what you think about it when you can talk to me. You tell me, because I'm trying to come up with some ideas. For me, it allowed. Here's the thing: a lot of people who are in the medical field love helping people, but it still gives them the opportunity to help people and help them more. But for them, it allows them for some more freedom. Maybe you can do shift work versus being married to a to a hospital or a doctor's office. Maybe you can take shifts so you have more flexibility. I don't know what that looks like for you, but that's the powerful punch that you want to give at the end. Maybe for you, it's creating residual income that you can invest in something else. I don't know. But do you see what I'm saying? Like, this is the important part of coming up with this really effective story is finding what moves you passionately for your future that you can share with others to give them hope and help them start being able to dream again. Give them possibility. Okay, so you can enroll them in those possibilities. So that's what you want to do to create this impactful story. So that's a piece of the puzzle that you get to work on, because I've kind of given you a business story, an outline for a business story here. You can work on it, tweak it, but come up with that 1-2 punch at the end, like that thing. Now, just because somebody might not have the exact same dreams that you do doesn't mean that it won't spark their dreams too, the things that they're looking for, the things that they're hoping for. And most of us have given up. By the time we reach adulthood, we've lost our ability to dream or hope for anything more. We've gotten into the, I'm going to go to work and I'm going to go home and I'm going to eat and I'm going to go to sleep. And then, this whole hamster wheel of life, and we don't get to dream or expect or hope for anything more. But we in this business get to show up and offer hope, dreams, a future, something different. That people don't have to look 20, 30, 40 years down the road and all they see is the hamster wheel. We get to do that, and we get to do it first and show the way. But we got to build the belief in the story for ourselves, then be able to share it with others in an impactful, powerful way. Then we extend the invitation, and the invitation goes, and I'm going to repeat it again. I don't know if what we're doing is for you or not, but if you're open, I'd love to share more. And then you keep your mouth shut and wait. Then you set up that presentation, which can again be, now there may be a step in between the presentation, but like sharing a mobile business card, but you've got to get in front of people. In my opinion, getting in front of people is the most powerful way to connect. So whether it be Zoom, a phone call, a coffee shop, an event, you've got to get in front of people. That's my favorite way to do presentations is in front of people. So invite to that presentation. Offer one presentation option, and if they say no to that, have a plan B in your back pocket. What's that second option going to be? Once you've extended that invitation, you don't want to walk away without something on the calendar. You don't, because then you have to come back and rebuild that excitement and rebuild that interest, and then try to get an invitation out there again. And that's just so much more work. Do it the first time you've got your hands on it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right. Do you have any questions for today?
No.
I know you're at work. Well, thank you so much for getting on with me, even on your lunch hours, Adi. I appreciate you taking time. I hope this helps everybody. If you guys have any questions, feel free to post them, and we will talk to you again next week. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.